Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and after a week of riding high, I think we can all say that, a lot of trash talk involved, we have a meteor headed our way. Because our boys may be 2-0, and Tua in this offense may look different, but the big bad Buffalo is on his way to Miami. For years, even when Josh Allen was inconsistent, some would say bad, he managed to play his best ball in Hard Rock Stadium. And this coming Sunday, Miami has an opportunity to make a statement unlike any that they have made in the past 20 years. A victory would mean so much to this franchise and the fan base, not to mention the confidence of the squad as the meat of the season gets underway. But that's going to be incredibly difficult to come by. Today, we're going to preview Miami's matchup at home against the Bills. Do our boys stand a chance of improving to 3-0, securing a lead in the AFC East, not to mention the AFC at large? Or are Dolphins everywhere about to be given a painful reality check? Let's talk about it, and let's dive in. Whenever anyone brings up this matchup, they always refer to the way things have been over the past few seasons. And to be frank, it's kind of one-sided. Miami has yet the ability to claim a real rivalry with Buffalo because we've seen the Dolphins get blown off the field time and time again over the last couple years. Except there is one big difference. This ain't the same Miami Dolphins. It's not the same offense, and Mike McDaniel is not the same coach as we've had before. And when you analyze those previous matchups, the one everyone keeps referring to, Brian Flores versus Sean McDermott, something becomes clear. McDermott is an aggressive coach, and again, Brian Flores was not. Yes, he was aggressive on defense, but the way he called the game, right? The tempo that he tried to impose, it was slow and methodical. Miami's strategy was to stay as close as possible, try to shorten the game, and hope to be in position to get the win late. The second matchup last year between these two clubs, it showcased that Miami's defense played well. They kept Miami within a score or two throughout the first half into the second half, but ultimately the offense struggled to keep up, and Buffalo just separated themselves. We've seen that before, and it appears most people think that's what's going to happen again, right? We'd punt on 4th and short. We'd take every field goal possible every time we enter the red zone on 4th and goal, 4th and 5, and again, focus on that ball control. Now, each and every time that we attempted to implement this ball control, smart, conservative strategy against Buffalo, we lost, and generally, we lost by a big margin. But there's a new coach in town. Mike McDaniel is not Brian Flores. That, I think, is clear to this point. He isn't shy. He prefers that aggressive approach, one that may, in fact, rival Sean McDermott's. And that's reason number one, I think. We don't actually know what to expect on Sunday. We aren't going to enter this matchup trying to keep it close, minimize mistakes, and have a general approach of just not losing the game. Not try to win, just try not to lose. I think Miami is going to try and take it this Sunday. And that means Miami's going to go for it on 4th down earlier in the game. Miami isn't going to settle for field goals in the red zone, and they're going to attack Buffalo's defense on all three levels. Now, will that approach work? That's yet to be determined. But it's something new, and for that at least, I am excited. Now, there are two general ways we're going to talk about this game. First, of course, Miami's defensive approach to the Bills, because this is the part of the game that's likely going to feel the most similar to seasons past. And the reason there is simple. Miami's bringing back the same defensive identity, the same defensive coordinator, and much of the same personnel from last season. What I hope to see, though, is a difference in how Miami chooses to defend Josh Allen. Because as much as I dislike the fact that he has blossomed into an NFL star, he is an incredibly dangerous weapon at quarterback. And that pains me to say. Not only does he have the ability to take the top off a defense with a flick of the wrist, but his athleticism and running ability makes him a dual threat, which at times feels a little unfair. Allen is really good against the blitz, both with his arm and his legs, and Miami cannot leave their corners on islands because the Bills have proven that they can and they will capitalize on those matchups. I do not want to see Miami bring out the zero look in this game. I want to see Boyer call a zone-heavy game. Specifically, I think Miami should be flooding the middle of the field with corners and safeties. Take away the underneath, take away the deep ball, and force Josh Allen to beat you on the outsides. He has the arm to make those throws, but again, you want to force him to consistently be accurate outside the hash. If he's going to make a mistake, it's going to be on throws like that to Xavier Howard or Javon Holland making a play, right? Those are throws that generally focus more on an accurate and well-timed ball versus a strike over the middle of the field in zone coverage to Dawson Knox, 25 yards up the middle, Isaiah McKenzie. These are things that we have to take away. Invite Buffalo by flooding the field to run the ball, because not only does this shorten the game, but it helps Miami create some second and longs. In terms of injuries, Buffalo is banged up on both sides of the ball. Offensively, the only player in danger of missing time is Gabe Davis, but apparently he will be playing. And that, again, is not ideal, but it is a wait-and-see situation. That might just be a move from Sean McDermott to make Miami waste time prepping while he ultimately does not play. The reason Gabe Davis is so key is it becomes way easier without him to focus the coverage on Stephon Diggs, again, when you don't have Gabe Davis on the other side. If he's back, which I think he will be, it does change the equation because Gabe Davis can beat you on all three levels of the field, as he's proven to do. Obviously, I'd assume Miami is going to match Xavier Howard with Diggs while playing zone coverage on the other half of the field, but considering Allen's ability to just throw it all over the yard, Miami could very well leave X on one side the whole game. Really, to keep Buffalo under 30 points and to give Miami's offense a chance to match Josh Allen's output, they need to do two things well on defense. First, stop the run. Like I mentioned before, forcing Buffalo to throw on 2nd and 8, 3rd and 6, it allows more chances to get off the field. If Buffalo is carving our front seven up with the run, it's going to be a long day. The second key involves the pass rush. The Dolphins, aside from week 1, have not been very active this season. They were not active in Baltimore, despite trying to attack Lamar and the Ravens. The defense just could not get home. And unlike this past weekend, I don't see Miami sending the house often. If we do blitz, it's likely going to be situational rushes from a safety or corner to try and rush a throw or blindside Allen and force a turnover. And that means Miami's general rotation of defensive linemen must have themselves a game. Looking at you, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips, Melvin Ingram. Hey, they signed a former stud defensive end, right? Why don't we have our own, Melvin Ingram? Let's come ball. We have to create a semblance of that organic pressure to have a fighting chance. There are two general matchups, key matchups, I would say, that I'm looking for on our defensive end. First, Miami secondary versus Stephon Diggs, who's had a hell of a start, and the interior defensive line versus the hobbled Mitch Morse at center. Although Christian Wilkins and Sealer have been playing out of their minds so far, it's not like Miami's developed a consistently stout unit. They did make a couple of huge stops in pivotal moments, 4th and goal early in the Baltimore game, and of course, that 4th and 1 stop to help Miami turn the tide and ignite the comeback. But what has been lacking is a consistent pass rush. The Dolphins have to push the pocket into Allen's lap in order to get him off his spot, because they have a banged-up center, and that's an advantage for the interior guys who have to make their presence felt this weekend. Now, turning to Diggs, it's likely Gabe Davis, like I said, is going to play. Although he isn't 100%, I still wouldn't doubt his ability, and that'd be tough for Miami because now you have to focus on both Diggs and Davis. Miami has to be sound in their technique, stay disciplined in those zone schemes, and force Allen to hold on to the ball, ultimately hoping that a mistake is made. If you see throughout the game a lot of man-to-man coverage, Diggs is probably going to eat. He will get open eventually, even on X. And you got to accept something. Miami isn't going to shut down Buffalo. We cannot shut down this offense. Instead, you got to bend but don't break. Force field goals, potentially a turnover or two to give ourselves that edge. If we're asking the Dolphins offense to go toe-to-toe with Buffalo in week 3, that is asking a lot. And I know what we all just saw, but you cannot expect the Dolphins offense to now just be elite with no hiccups along the way. Now, moving to the offense, what do we need to do? What must occur in order for us to move to 3-0? Well, simply put, you got to play clean, efficient, and explosive offense. Remember, the goal is to keep the ball, shorten the game, and the Dolphins are likely going to try to utilize their running game in order to do so. It's something that Mike McDaniel was touted for being able to do, and so far, we really haven't seen it on a consistent basis. However, I think this is the week that we see more creativity in the run game, right? End arounds, pitches, different ways to attack the defense on the ground. If Miami is able to execute a good ground game, that will help everything else immensely. Because one, you control the clock and the ball, but more importantly, the passing game opens up, and that helps Tua and the other weapons. Of the two running backs, I'd expect both Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert to get carries, but whoever has the hot hand is going to end up getting the bulk of the carries come the second half. And my money in that front is on Raheem Mostert because he has been running hard over the last couple of weeks, and not only does he look healthy and fast, but his style of running is likely a better matchup against the Bills. Because Edmonds is more your classic scat back, and Buffalo has proven to be able to limit that skill set. The patient runner can't really find holes if there aren't any, and Buffalo has that stout defense. But a guy like Mostert, he can beat defenders to the edge. He can explode through a hole up the middle, and the slivers that are going to be opened up can be maximized with speed. And as a result, I think Mostert is going to get a bit more work. Now, turning to the passing game, Edmonds should still hold his own, but if Miami wants to compete with Buffalo, they need the passing attack to continue to be potent. What we saw in the fourth quarter from Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, and Gesicki has to stay the norm, not the outlier. And I think that's possible, not just because we're seeing Tua kind of enter his full potential, but the play calling is getting better and better. Mike McDaniel has this offense humming, truly. He understands his personnel, and he's putting them in positions to succeed. Alec Ingold, probably going to play a role against Buffalo, that physicality that we need, and of course, Tyreek Hill, the Buffalo killer with the Chiefs. He's an X factor, and when you consider how banged up Buffalo is on the back end, he should break free on occasion, and it's up to the line to continue to play well, give Tua time so he can make those throws. Now, we're going to be talking plenty about Tua in the coming episodes, but I just want to explain for a second why I don't think what we saw last Sunday was a fluke, and why I think we're going to see a really good quarterback on Sundays going forward. Firstly, the scheme. Mike McDaniel has implemented his system very smoothly, considering it's still so early in the season. Obviously, the main part of the scheme is that zone running element, but the Dolphins haven't fully succeeded in making the run game a big part of their game plan, at least in the first 2 weeks. But when it comes to the air, McDaniel has not only helped Tua with consistency, an actual game plan, how to attack a defense, but he's also utilizing Tua's specific skill set to maximize his potential. Don't let others fool you. Don't let the talking heads confuse you. They were the same talking heads telling you that Tua was a game manager, Tua has a limited arm, Tua can't make all the throws, and you have to create an offense within his limitations. He's not a dink and dunk quarterback who will take the occasional deep shot. The man is a baller. He's proven it every spot he's been in, and while all y'all have been saying for years, nah, he sucks, bro, watch what you saw in the fourth quarter. Look at that closely. Look at what it took for him to throw 4 touchdowns in one quarter and single-handedly lead a game-winning drive with just ticks left on the clock. McDaniel has instilled confidence in Uno, right? And he's not only instilled belief in the 24-year-old, he's reminded him that football is fun and that he can do well while also having fun, something that never happened with Brian Flores. We saw it last weekend, the way the kid was celebrating after the touchdowns, after that game winner, you could feel it, right? Something shifted, and McDaniel himself pointed that out.
No, now maybe Tua will finally listen to me. And what I mean by that is, like, I've said it to you guys before, but, like, it's awesome to be critical of yourself. It is good. You know, he has a high standard for himself. But just after the first game, I just wanted to see the guy enjoy playing football and understand that, yes, you want to make the perfect read and the perfect throw every time. But who cares? If you just get better at one thing a game, you're going to be pretty good at the end of the season. So let's just press forward. Well, the absolute worst thing could have happened at the beginning of the game for him, where we get a contested ball. That's not really his fault. I know Tyreek will say he should catch that, the first interception, and then he starts pressing and throws it up for a second interception. So you would want to talk about everything we talk about and how coachable the guy is. And, this is huge because he stopped worrying about the last play, and he went and played and took his responsibility serious to his teammates about, hey, I'm going to lead this team confidently. It is what you get into sports for. It is as cool for the coaching staff and him. Like that's it was coming to life. I think it was a moment that he'll never forget, that hopefully he can use moving forward, because we didn't have the strongest. We basically had to play perfect complementary football to come back from a deficit like that against a really good team. So I couldn't be happier for him, and his teammates know. His teammates learned a lot about him, and I think he learned. His teammates learned a lot about him, and I think he learned something about himself.
Tua is an incredibly accurate passer, right? He throws with timing, anticipation, and we saw that on display multiple times. When he goes up against Buffalo without Micah Hyde, without Tre'Davious White, I think we're going to see that again. Miami has definitely created a buzz around them, but I don't think people really know what's coming from the young quarterback. As long as he's protected, I believe that McDaniel will call the right plays. He's going to allow Tua to play free. And if we see that on Sunday, damn, I think we have a legitimate shot to keep up with Josh Allen and the Bills. Now, if Tua falters, we're going to have a whole new discussion come Monday. But I just don't see that. The Tua faithful, myself included, haven't been so steadfast just because we have a take that we want to pan out. That's stupid. No, we're steadfast because he has all the tools in the world to become a Drew Brees, a Steve Young. Accuracy, anticipation, mobility. We saw that River Craycraft touchdown, that little spin move. That's mobility. Good decision-making. And, of course, the killer instinct, which we saw with 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter on 2nd and goal. Many doubted that, right? Many thought he didn't have it within him, but Baltimore changed it. I have a feeling that this game is going to be close, and the winner is ultimately going to be decided upon who has the ball to end the game. Now, do I foresee Tua to throw 400 yards, 6 touchdowns? No. But do I see 300 yards, 3 touchdowns? Yup. Again, we're going to have way more substance to talk about come Sunday evening, but for now, the game prediction. You know how we roll here at the PhinsPod, right? We bleed aqua and orange. Is there bias? If you're a Bills fan listening, is there bias? Sure, we're called the PhinsPod here, but this team, right, this group of men under Mike McDaniel feels different. It's not about defense like it was with Flo. It's about playmakers on the outside, the improved offensive line, and the belief in Tua emanating from the whole team. I think Sunday is the greatest opportunity yet for Miami to show the world that they mean business. I predict the Dolphins pull out the win 36-34. Now, if we lose, we'll break it down. We'll look into what went wrong. But if we win, Jesus, if we win, we as a fan base are going to be insufferable, and I cannot wait. Now, get your game faces ready. If you're at the game, stand the whole time and be loud. Let your presence be felt. The boys need it. The fans want to hear it. Fins up.
Do I think that Tua is going to go out and throw for 400-something yards or however many he had last week and 6 touchdowns for Buffalo? Obviously not. But here's my pushback. So this Mike McDaniel system comes from San Francisco. We can't sit here and think that, well, he has to throw the ball downfield a ton to ever become making you sold on him. What he has to do is continue to run this offense that is built upon yards after the catch, ball distribution, play action pass, moving the pocket, pinpoint accuracy, the timing of the throw. That's what he is going to do very well. So if you're expecting Tua to become a Patrick Mahomes or a Justin Herbert or a Lamar Jackson with these guys that want to shoot the ball downfield a ton, you'll never be sold on him. But if you are waiting for or wanting to see Tua be exactly who he is in the mold of Drew Brees, well, he's ascending to that right now. And that's what makes me sold on him.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you all again so much for listening to the PhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to our patrons, Timothy Ritchie, Brian Guger, Chris, Commander Pig, and Dan Kolbasowski. Members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all again for the continued support over there. And please remember, if you're listening, to like the video if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe, just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the show is available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Continue the conversation with us on Twitter or Instagram @PhinsPod. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Let's go Dolphins. I am so nervous for Sunday. Until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.